Hello and welcome to StudyIQ, my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. Today is 2nd June 2020. Day is Tuesday. I would like to start today's discussion with a very interesting, very important quote. It's about to smile. Wear a smile and have friends. Wear a scowl and have wrinkles. If you carry a smile, then naturally people are going to, come to you. I think a smile is like a magnet. It will attract people towards you. But if you are carrying a miserable face, then naturally people are going to stay away from you. You are going to have less friends and life is going to be miserable. So always make sure the one outfit that you wear all the time, most of the time, and that is smile. With this, dear friends, StudyIQ team has designed a smart course. So this smart course is for Civil Services Examination. To find out more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application on your phone. Good news is that till 10th June 2020, we are extending this offer of EMI on our smart course. Make the most out of it. You will find the PDF of today's discussion on my Telegram channel. You can get in touch with me via Facebook. There are so many students out there, they are not aware about this series. The only way through which they can become part of this series is via you guys. You are the bridge between new students and this series. If you are following this series, if you like the quality of this series, if this series has helped you, or if it is helping you on regular basis to increase your capacity, then please make sure that you share this lecture with other students. To support today's video, hit the like button, and to support our channel, subscribe to our channel. Dear friends, we have 5 important articles on our table. The first one is from Hindustan Times. It's about Locust Attack. Very important article because you see, few days ago as well, we have talked about this Locust Attack. I have few new points that I would like to share with you guys. And I believe you may find one question in prelims examination about Locust Attack. And you can find, of course, natural disaster or this sort of climate change and climate change induced disasters. You can find a question on this thing as well, maybe an essay topic. So if you find this sort of questions, then this locust discussion, our earlier discussion as well as today's discussion will help you. And then I have one more interesting article. This one is about earthquake. So these two are going to give you a sort of in-depth knowledge about this topics, right? So first of all, let's quickly go through basic facts. Usually they are very shy and solitary lives. I still remember when I was a small kid, I used to play around with various different creatures in the garden, right? And I'm sure all of us, we have done this thing. So I still remember these grasshoppers. They used to be like solitary insects, right? You find them alone. Hardly you find them in a couple or pair. But this swarm is a very dangerous thing. When they get crowded together, they become gregarious mini beasts. Swarm can be size of Paris or New York. New York, Paris, this are one of the biggest cities on our planet. And this locust swarm can be as big as Paris or New York. 40 million of these locusts can eat the same amount of food daily as 3 million people. And crops are destroyed and livelihoods are threatened because of this locust or desert locusts swarm attack. So last week, swarms of desert locusts entered western India from Pakistan, and they have destroyed crops in Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Latest reports are also saying that they have penetrated deeper into Uttar Pradesh, and the 3 states have sent out drones, tractors and cars to kill this. Basically, we are spraying this pesticide to kill these locust swarms. It's going to be challenging, and they have created huge amount of loss. One thing that I want you guys to keep this thing in mind, this is a very important point. I strongly feel this point that you will find a question on this thing. Simultaneous disasters. On one side you have COVID-19, on the other side we are facing we saw a cyclone in this West Bengal and Odisha. One more cyclone is heading towards Maharashtra, right, in maybe today or tomorrow. I have to go through that whole news item. But Maharashtra means this cyclone is heading towards Maharashtra. So there you go. You have one more cyclone approaching our shores. So that's one more cyclone or natural disaster that we have to fight. It's called Nisarga or Nisarg. Cyclone Nisarg is going to hit Mumbai coast, has been said by IMD. Then what else we have? We have heat wave, right? We have heat wave. Then we will see changing. We have already observed and we have already witnessed this rainfall pattern has changed. And then we have threat of earthquake and so many other things. So we have to prepare ourselves, our societies. We have to, means things are going to be different now, because if you see, then on various different fronts, hydrological fronts, when we say rainfall, then climatological front, biological changes are taking place. And this locust is one example. This locust swarm is one example of this changes that we are seeing. India has not witnessed a full-blown locust cycles after 1993. This one is huge, and one of the main reason why we are finding this earlier on, in early 2020 as well, we saw this locust attack, and this is the second one. And a few days ago we were talking about, remember that it can last for nearly 2 years, on and off, it can extend till 2 years, and after that for nearly 7-8 years it's going to be lull. Then again we are going to find this sort of things. So that's what we know so far about this locust swarms. The reason why we are finding this frequent locust swarms is because the cyclones, the frequency, intensity, numbers of cyclones have gone up in various different parts of the world, right? This applies to Arabian Sea as well. This applies to Bay of Bengal as well. So because of this increasing numbers of cyclones in this Arabian Sea, right, it is bringing rainfall to those areas which were, which they are not, these areas are, they don't get that much rainfall, like this Rub al-Khali. Rub al-Khali is also known as empty quarter. This is a big desert portion of Saudi Arabia and parts of this UAE. Now, rainfall here means it will give you, or it will provide a breeding ground for this locust population. And then on top you have this western disturbances, Mediterranean, this summertime, Mediterranean seas water will evaporate, the winds are heading towards this side, right? So naturally all this locust and other stuff will be carried with this wind, and they will, go with the flow. And this is the reason why you find this locust attack taking place in Iran, and then you have Afghanistan, Pakistan, and parts of our country, India. Director General of Indian Council of Agricultural Research admitted that there hasn't been much systemic research. This is the biggest issue. Since 1990s, we have stopped doing thorough research on this thing. It's basically, in the back bench. But now the time is ripe enough that we should focus on this proper research on this locust and the things that are triggering this sort of, and if we can have a sort of early warning system and ways through which we can handle this locust, then we have to do it. Because, as I told you, for next 2 years, this chain of event, this thing has started, and it will keep on coming again and again in various different seasons. So we have to kill them. We have to defend our farmers and our economy. Then we have workforce habits. This one is about our migrant workers. Now we all know their pain. We have talked about this thing, and the basic things about migrant workers, their issues, and what are the things that we need to do. So we have talked about all those things, so I'm not going to repeat all those things. But one thing is there that we hardly think about when we talk about demographic dividend. Generally, we say this thing, and we say this thing with much esteem that India is a country where 65% of population is under 35, and we are a nation of a young population, and we have under 30, and we are a nation of young population, and there are so many things that we can achieve, and we have demand and democracy, and then we have this demographic dividend and all these things. But we hardly, when we are saying that we have this demographic dividend or demographic advantage because of young population, we hardly think about our our migrant workers, right? We think like they are there, but they are not in our conscious awareness, I would say. We think that this demographic dividend is associated by those IT staff, or people working, youngsters working in big offices and big cities. No, migrant workers are big. They are part of our young population. They are part of our country. They are part of our workforce. They play a very important role in industrial development and in so many other things, right? In construction, in infrastructure, and so many things. So many various different sectors of economy where you find these people. Unfortunately, they are the ones who are constructing everything, but they are not the one who make, or their life, if you see, then their life is, hand to mouth thing, that they work for a day, they buy something, they eat something, sleep, wake up, work, again buy something, cook your meal, eat, sleep, things like that. So they are living without any safety net. And this COVID-19 episode has opened our eyes, their eyes, and, now I think things should not be as they used to be. We need to change their situation. I have said this thing earlier on as well, that even if the price of labor, even if it goes up, then that's fine, right? 50 rupees or maybe 100 rupees per day, if it goes up, that's okay. But make sure that provide them with proper safety net, right? If you have to collect a fund or something, do it, but provide them a decent life so that they don't suffer this sort of. And again, this thing is relevant because we know that this intensity and frequency of various different natural disasters are going to be there again and again. Biological changes, we don't know. Today we are suffering from this coronavirus. Maybe after a few years we may suffer from something else. So we cannot have this same thing again and again going on, right? A good thing is that a few days ago, Labour Minister in his interview has clearly said that if few states, few states, they have made some changes with their laws, like labor laws, like working hours increased from 8 hours to 12 hours. And the reason why they have done this thing is because states are saying that this will spur investor confidence and revive job creation. To an extent, of course, they are right. Of course, they are right. Because at present, what's going on is that many laborers, they are still at their villages, right? They have left their workplace and they are in their villages. Of course, their life is very difficult over there, but at least they have a roof on their top. So that's why they have gone back. Anyway, the thing is, to an extent, this to spur or to boost investment or investors' confidence, you have to give them you offer that they cannot resist. Then to revive job creation as well, to make sure that companies, they don't small big companies, they don't fire or sack people. You have to make some changes. I do agree with it, but when it comes to safety, when it comes to their rights, we cannot have any sort of compromise. And I think Labour Minister is, he's a sensible person, a sensible man. He said that if states are doing something that is against Labour, then that is something that will be rejected by the central government, because this labor issue is part of this concurrent subject. So if you are making some things, if you are making changes, then you have to have a green signal from the central government. So that's a good thing if that's coming from Union Labour Minister, that he is ready to bat and protect migrant workers or laborers, then I think that's a good thing. Now, one more thing that I would like to add here is that factory and labor, right? F is factory, L is labor. They live in a sort of symbiotic or an ecosystem. If factory is doing well, then laborers will do good. If laborers are doing well, then factories will do good. So they have to work with each other. They have to find a good balance between each other. Official instructions to keep paying employees. Lockdown has not worked. And now if you want to bring them back, because they are scared, they have experienced this thing that if something goes wrong, then no one is there to feed them, to look after them. No one is there to transport them, to provide them transport facility from one place to another. And even if they provide you, when I say even if, they means they here means government. So if government will provide you transport facilities, then it's going to take a bit of time. So now they are not ready to take this risk. So it's going to take time. I think various different reports are saying, and I personally believe like it's going to be somewhere around after July, people will come back to their workplace. Till then, things are going to be very difficult from economical point of view as well. If you go through, and for that you need the central and state governments to sort out these things. Now, Talking about economy, already we know that COVID-19 has destroyed our economy, and not just Indian economy, but economies around the world as well. Now, the thing is, very interesting thing about this article is that early on as well, before this COVID-19 lockdown, things were not going that great. But finance ministry and other people associated with government, they said that things are okay, like we were down, but now we are moving up. That's what they used to say before this COVID-19 lockdown. But now the figures are out. If you see NSO's estimate, then the last 3 months, right, the fourth quarter and the last 3 months of financial year 2019-20, I'm talking about January, February and March 2020. If you see this 3 months, then GDP growth has been 3.1% only. And overall, the full 2019-20, this fiscal year's growth is just 4.2%. So governments claim that we are not in the bottom and we have started doing quite well. That was a wrong statement from the government, right? Things were already going down, and then we saw this COVID-19 lockdown. We cannot say that because of lockdown we are here, right? Lockdown is going to drag us to minus portion. This is just 4.2, which is of course bad, but after this, if you calculate this lockdown, and I'm sure means next year we are going to be, means this year, this financial year, next year when we will get full year's numbers, we will be in somewhere around -5 or -6 or maybe more than that. Let's hope that we don't go there, but the way things are going on, you can connect this thing with this labor discussion that we have done. If you don't have labors, then you cannot restore your full-fledged factory output or production. So it's going to be more and more challenging. Then your loans are going on, then you have to pay the loans on time, and there are so many other challenges. Then support from government is also a big question here, like package, right? So many people are saying that this credit enhancement measure, okay, government is feeling okay, that's fine, but we need some direct support. There are so many MSMEs, they are saying that rather than offering us loan, give us some money so that we can pay wages. Give us some money so that we can buy some things. We don't have that thing. And even if MSMEs are knocking the doors of various different banks, these banks are asking them to provide them some sort of security. So things are quite different in the ground. GDP growth estimates for January-March quarter and the full fiscal year barely reflect the impact of public health crisis and the stringent lockdowns. Manufacturing down by -1.4%. Construction, a job-generating activity or sector, -2.2%. If you see trade, transport, hotels, communications and financial trade, transport, hotels and communication, it is 1.6%. Financial, real estate and professional services sector, 4%. Private consumption spending, which accounts for 55 to 60% of GDP, extended a downtrend as growth slid to 2.7%. Investment activities are down when investment activities are -6.5%. That means new jobs will not be generated, new businesses are not opening, your real estate is not getting sold, and so many other things. Then output at 8 core industries is -38% in April, contracted by an alarming 38%, right? Core 8. Can you give me the list of 8 core industries in the comment section? I want to see how many of you can get it right. Merchandise exports shrank 60%, and RBI said that recovery is going to be unlikely till October quarter. Moving on to next item, very interesting one. It's about earthquake. So this article is written by Gopal Krishna Gandhi. He is grandson of Mahatma Gandhi ji. And Gopal Krishna Gandhi, I'm going to refer him as Mr. Gandhi here in this discussion. So Mr. Gandhi has been ambassador of India to various different countries. He's been High Commissioner to Sri Lanka. He's been ambassador to Iceland and other places. He has been governor of West Bengal, I believe. And so basically, he's a very famous person and very experienced person. Now, he was in Sri Lanka, and over there he met this Arthur C. Clarke. He's the author of this book called Richter 10. This Richter 10 is about, it's a fictional novel, and it has touch of science in it. And this novel is about, I have not read this novel, of course, but going through this article, I came to know about this Richter 10. So here, Mr. Gandhi is saying that when he met Arthur C. Clarke in Colombo, so they were having discussion, and they were started talking about earthquake, and Mr. Clarke told Mr. Gandhi that while earthquake prediction may take some more time, what should be done is to inaugurate a new architecture in quake-prone areas which would deny the seismic activity its logical end, that is devastation. So what it means in simple words is that at present the world is not having this capacity or technology that we can predict earthquakes in advance. But the best thing that we can do to mitigate its impact, the best thing that we can do is we can create architecture that is particularly in quake-prone areas where it can mitigate or it can handle earthquakes. That's the best thing that we can do at present. Once we know, and even once we know, if we have a technology where we can predict earthquakes, where we can forecast earthquake, when we can earlier warning system, if we have something like that, then as well you need those buildings that will withstand this earthquakes. So the best defense is create new architecture, create earthquake resistant architecture. That's what Arthur C. Clarke said, and I think it's a very logical thing. Now, very interesting thing I found in this article is that a conversation between Mr. Gandhi and Mr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He got a call saying, Kalam speaking. He said, good afternoon, Rashtrapati Ji. Honored to get this call. Are you keeping well, sir? Kalam sir said, oh yes, fantastic. Happy to know that, sir. Now, if you are going to Iceland, please ask them how their work in earthquake anticipation goes. Kalamji said that Iceland is a volcanically active place. So they are doing so much of research on this earthquake and other things. So in Reykjavik, when Mr. Gandhi was there, he had an interaction with the president of Iceland, and he asked the president about this earthquake thing, their research and what they are doing and where they are at present as far as earthquake is concerned. So the president said that you see, Mr. Ambassador, I was told by my senior seismologist that it is like a cerebral situation. It's like our brain, when a person gets a brain stroke, before that he or she will get a few minor strokes, right? Undercurrent minor strokes and then you will have a big one. So that's what they have found, Iceland, people of Iceland, or scientists of Iceland, that before a big earthquake, they will get smaller ones. And once you identify the smaller ones, once you know the smaller ones, right, and if you go through geographical books like NCERTs, I'm sure many of you have gone through those chapters, but if not, then you will come across so many things like epicenter and how it takes place and tectonic plates and all these things, which are very important. You need to know all these basic things. I don't have that much time to explain this geographical basic stuff, right, on current affairs lecture, but I can direct you, right. You will find every important thing in NCERTs, and then you can refer to some higher level of books if you are very interested, or you can watch. There are so many videos available on our StudyIQ platform about this tectonic plates and other things. Anyway, so this whole earthquake thing, right, if we can identify some tiny earthquakes that takes place in various different parts, and the reason why this article is important is because disaster management is very important for it's part of your syllabus. You find a question on this thing every year. And a few days ago, right, I'm talking about in April particularly, right, few weeks ago to be precise. In April month, we saw some small tiny tremors or earthquakes, right, or sort of shocks in New Delhi and region around it. And if you are aware about geography, if you know basic things about geography, then Himalayas are very young and restive mountains, right? Even today, this Himalayas or this Indian plate is pushing this Asian plate, and we may have a big, small earthquake anytime. So the best thing that we can do is we have to create more and more research. We have to do more and more research on this thing. And there are three things that are suggested here. Short term. In short term, what we need to do is we need to identify vulnerable buildings and identify the people who are living here and provide them safety, rescue, and create this awareness so that if we, God forbid, but if we have anything like earthquake or anything, then we know they should know what exactly they need to do and where is their assembly point. Medium term requires a new architecture regime to be made mandatory for all builders and developers. If you are creating a new building, then make sure you follow this earthquake rules and regulations. And in long term, we need to decongest our big cities like Delhi. If South Africa can have one political capital, another legislative capital, another judicial capital, and the fourth one can be their business capital, then we need to have one Delhi where it will have most of the things. We can also distribute or decentralize various different important organs so that we can decongest our big cities, and that's what we need to do, right? We need to, and particularly this Himalayan range, we need to have this awareness about earthquake, and R&D is again most important thing, but just R&D is not going to help. You have to create this culture. I'll give you one example of people of Andhra Pradesh, coastal Andhra Pradesh villages. They have this culture, like they take cyclone, they take it with their knowledge and their experience. They have at grassroots level, at village level, they will have one leader. They have this appointed person. They do drills and other things. So if they are affected by the cyclones, you will find, apart from property, even less property, but hardly you find in some villages that people lose their lives because they know where to run for cover. Moving on, India, China, and fortifying the Africa outreach. So Africa is, of course, a continent, second biggest continent. I have a question for you. 3 important latitudes pass through Africa. Can you give me the name of all 3 latitudes, important latitude lines? Now, Africa is second largest in terms of size, second largest continent of the world. You have some, if I'm not wrong, you have 54 countries. This includes your Madagascar and Seychelles and some other islands, right? Mauritius, etc. If you add all of them, then you get 54 countries, if I'm not wrong. So, okay. Now, Africa, we know that in terms of natural resources, it is one of the richest, but in terms of money and other things, physical, economical thing, it is not doing that great. So African countries are ill-equipped with PPE kits and other things or the overall medical facilities to fight this COVID-19. India and China, they have increased their outreach to Africa through medical assistance. And in this article, we are going to basically understand the way, or this Chinese or Beijing's donation diplomacy. What are the things? If China is helping, then what are the things? If India is helping, then what is the nature of India's help? So China is Africa's largest trading partner, and it was quick to send help to Africa. It provided this medical protective equipment and kits and ventilators and so many other things. And even this private players like Jack Ma and other people as well, they provided anti-coronavirus supplies and other help. Philanthropic things took place, charity work they did for African countries. The primary motive of such donations has been to raise Beijing's profile. This whole COVID-19 thing took place, so China wants to shift away this focus, right? It wants the world to talk about something else rather than this Wuhan city, which is known as the origin point of this coronavirus. It wants to build goodwill overseas, and it wants to establish an image makeover for itself. And this is one of the main reasons why it is helping various different countries and countries of Africa. All these things were going on the other side. Simultaneously, ill treatment of African nationals took place in Guangzhou city. But then China started pumping more money. It even started giving cash to various different, poor people of Africa, and various different help was given. So this has temporarily, means people have no option. They cannot resist China now. China has been in Africa for a very long period of time. And what China does with African support is, China will provide them this sort of things. It will extract their resources. It will set up factories over there, extract resources, create products, cheap products, right? And it will provide jobs to the people. of Africa, and then you have good relationship with the politicians and other things, etc. You know how it works, right? So by providing this money, by providing this support and everything, in future Beijing will use, as it has used earlier on, it will use African countries' support to file or to field its candidate in FAO, WHO, and other international organizations. As far as New Delhi or our country is concerned, our focus is never to extract or to to destroy or to take over, to colonize other countries. What we do, and I'm not saying this thing as an Indian, right? Don't take me wrong. I have gone through so many of studies and so many of interviews, and not just interview of Indian diplomats. Few years ago, there was this interview of then Bangladesh foreign minister. He said that there is a big difference. China and India both are our friends, right? But India is a true friend. China will tell us what we need to do, and then it will give money. India will give money, and India will tell us that you decide what you want, right? We are giving you this freedom. So this is a big difference. When India helps a country, it genuinely helps. Even though we have limited resources, we have supplied medicines free of cost to so many countries, right? We have provided this HCQ and paracetamol to so many countries for free. Africa has been the focus of India's developmental assistance and also diplomatic outreach, and we are planning to set up 18 new embassies in various different countries of Africa. India's role as the pharmacy of the world, as suppliers of the low-cost generic medicine, is widely acknowledged. Total exports to Africa, out of that 40% items are pharmaceutical products and refined petroleum. Total 40%, out of the total exports, 40% is pharmaceutical and refined petroleum products. We have supplied HCQ and other paracetamols and other things to various different countries of Africa. And Indian community has been helping there. Langars are going on. Prominent Indian businesses and companies are also giving money for charity. China wants three things, right? Money, political influence, and elite level of wealth creation. Strong state-to-state relationship. People-to-people contact, doesn't matter. State-to-state relationship should be good. That's what it wants from Africa. It wants to create hard infrastructure projects and make money out of it as well. On the other hand, India's approach is to focus on building local capacities and equal partnership with Africans, and not merely with African elites concerned. We don't just want to engage with African government. We want to create this relationship, people-to-people contact between people of Africa and India, and create, there are so many examples I have. Like there are so many. A few days ago, one of our major, she got United Nations award for peacekeeping, one of the highest award. So can you give me the name of that major? One of my colleague, Siddhant Agnihotri, he made one video, biography of that particular major as well. So give me her name in the comment section. So this is just one example that India has been there for Africa and various different African countries for a very long period of time. These are some news items. Please, dear friends, make sure that you go through this whole news items. And this is a click from a plane. And that's everything in today's discussion. I'll see you soon. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.